Our food choices directly affect the animals who we're eating, if we're eating animal-based foods. And the routine violence towards animals is the background of our society. In the United States, we're killing 60 million animals every single day, by very conservative estimate. And so that requires a huge industrialized killing machine that is devastating to ecosystems and to our physical health, but I think, and also actually to our society. We have people starving because we're feeding grain to animals while people go hungry. And so the outer violence of animal agriculture, which is enormous, I think is in some ways even less significant than the violence it does to us internally. Because in order to have this system, it requires hundreds of millions of people who are willing to take out their wallets, all of us, and pay people to exploit animals, abuse animals, and kill them. And that brings out the worst in us eventually, because for me, as someone who's eating animal foods, I'm paying people to harm other beings and to harm hungry people, to harm ecosystems. And so my natural intelligence, the natural capacity I have to make connections is reduced because I'm reducing other beings. And the way forward for us as a society is to question the official narrative that has been injected into all of us since the time we were little infants. And instead of going along with violence, to reject violence and to choose kindness, to choose caring, to choose freedom and liberation for those beings who are vulnerable in our hands. Animals are right in our hands. They are innocent in the sense that they are not able to harm us. Cows and pigs and chickens and fishes are minding their own, would love to just mind their own business and live their lives freely in nature. But we violently, by the millions, take them out of their natural environment. We put them into terrible prisons, into continuous pain and anguish. We commit sexual violence on them by the millions. We steal their babies, we steal their lives, we steal their milk, we steal their eggs, we steal everything from them. And then we kill them. And this violence is not only devastating to them, it's devastating to us. We have to see that to these animals, and we all know this, anyone who has a companion animal like a dog or a cat is very well aware that these animals have interests that are to them as significant to them as my interests are to me. And yet for us to just say, well, your interests don't matter because you taste good, or because I've just been programmed by my parents to eat you, so I'm going to do that without, by my society. I mean, do we want to just be mere automatons going along, doing what we've been told to do without questioning it? Or do we want to be mere pleasure seekers who will harm others for our own pleasure without questioning? There's no ethics, there's no spiritual maturity, and there's no possibility of a foundation for healthy relationships in any human being that is living that way. So we have the possibility to live and create a sane, just, equitable, sustainable world. What we have to reject is not only animal agriculture, which is devastating on every level to the external world, but also the mentality that goes along with it, which is might makes right, reducing beings to things, privilege and elitism. The subtext of every meal is that certain beings are superior, other beings are inferior, and it's totally fine for the superior beings to dominate and exploit the inferior beings. The superior beings have this sense of entitlement. And I think as people who are concerned about justice, we have to question the injustice that's on our plates and realize that it goes completely contrary to our values, that these animals who are vulnerable in our hands deserve to be allowed to live their lives. And the great good news, I can say after being 35 years as a vegan, is that life just gets better and better every single day. Health, happiness, freedom, joy, all of these things are interconnected. We don't live in a universe that's set up by some demon that says only if you stab and kill and are abusive will you ever be happy. It's the opposite of that. As we all be loving and kind and caring, that's the foundation for happiness for us and justice and freedom. So we are really called to question the delusion that permeates our society that's causing such suffering to everyone, and in the foundation of animal agriculture, of reducing animals to mere pieces of meat. No one wants to do that no one wants to have that done to them. And what I've discovered actually in all of this is that all the social justice issues, whether they're racism or sexism or ableism or heterosexism or classism, they all are founded in the speciesism of reducing beings to things for my benefit. And this is the foundational awakening that's really called for all of us. And I think the greatest gift we can give to ourselves, to our loved ones, to future generations, is to make the effort to question the official stories of our society and bring our lives into alignment with our values. And that means, ultimately, it has to mean vegan living in a way that is loving and kind and inclusive. That's really what veganism is. It's radical inclusion and caring for other living beings who are at our mercy. Why wouldn't we do that? If we can live lives that are joyful and abundant and healthy without causing misery and suffering to other living beings, why wouldn't we do it? Why wouldn't we? That's the question.